Okay, so here's the deal. I've never made Digigrade Paws before, but I have a convention in a month and I want a full suit. So instead of giving a tutorial, I'm gonna give a walkthrough on how I ended up doing it. I'm going shopping right now, so I will try to document that as best I can. First stop is this lovely place. There's a small business near me that has a huge collection of minky. Grab 1 yard of fur and 1 yard of the lining fabric. Now to the wall of marts. Necessary purchase. Get some comfy slip-ons, some 1-inch foam. I needed some garbage brushes. Now we're finished shopping. I already had these, but you'll want contact cement and some EVA foam. I got both from the Home Depot. Don't forget your hot glue, but this should be everything. I sadly lost the audio to part 2, but you get to listen to Rain and my lovely voice. The first thing I did was cut off the tongue part on the front of the shoe so that it fit better on my foot. Then I traced the shoe and drew what I wanted the paw to look like. I'm gonna cut all that out and then trace 4 of them onto EVA foam. Then of course you gotta cut it out. And bam! Now we've gotta connect the shoes to the soles, so we'll need contact cement. Make sure you open a window or do it outside. This stuff is really, really toxic. This is why I needed garbage brushes, by the way. But you'll paint both sides, both the sole and the shoe, and let it completely dry. Then squish them together really good, and you've got a good bond. She's telling you don't wear them for 3 days, but you can still build around them. Anywhoosies, then I slapped some hot glue on it, just 'cause. And after that, I started sketching out what I wanted the pattern to look like so that tomorrow when I work with the foam, I'll kind of know what I'm doing. Here's the sketch from last time. I used it as a reference to get the pattern to fit my leg, and I cut that out 4 times. Okay, I've glued the sides to the bottom of it. Now I've been working on filling the gaps in the front and back to make it so that it doesn't warp the shape too much. And now we got some funky looking sandals. Now to fill in the toes, I measured from the ends, and then from the top, and then how deep I needed it, and basically made that into a block. Now I'm gonna cut out where the toe goes. Yay, now the shoe's out of the way. I filled in the gaps with these pieces of foam. That's much better. Now I'm gonna just kind of round it out and try to carve the toe. Just kind of drawing what I want it to look like. This is it kind of blocked out. Now I'll just take these toes and glue them where they're supposed to go. And this is what they're looking like. I'm pretty happy with the shape they are right now, and they're pretty comfortable, so I'll take that as a win. First, we'll be patterning the lining. First, I cut down the middle so I could get to the shoe easier, and now I need to measure around the shoe. For me, it was 15.5 inches. Then I'm measuring the outside hole on top, and that's 28 inches. Then measure up from the bottom of the shoe to the bottom of the boot, then from the back of the shoe to the back of the boot, and those came to 9 and 15 inches. If you're doing this, your measurements are likely to be different, but I thought I'd include them anyway. Now I'm gonna take my cotton lining fabric and put in those measurements. So I folded the fabric in half, and the fold is the front of the foot. And because it's folded, you'll want to half the measurements that go around the ankle and the calf. Then I added 1/4 inch of seam allowance and cut out 2 of them. Then just sew them into tubes. There's not a great way to explain this, but pin it and sew it to the rim of the shoe. I pinned it to check its fit so you can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. But for now, just shove it in the shoe and glue up the front. We're finally to the fun part of furring it, so if you're doing it with me, grab some duct tape. I use little pieces to get in the nooks and crannies. And then I'm gonna tape to the bottom of the shoe. You'll see why in the next part. And now I'm just covering the most of it with some long strips overlapping, just to get a nice solid pattern. Now just use your Sharpie to mark out where the pieces are gonna be cut out and the tick marks. Don't forget to label what it is in fur direction. Then just trace and cut all of that out of your fabric. I got the darts out of the way first so that I can just piece everything together afterwards. You can use pins or clips for all of this. And then once you have both sides sewn together on the back seam, this would be a good opportunity to add a zipper to the top, if you're gonna install one anyway. And then after the zipper, just close up the front, sew the toes together, and then add that to the base of the foot. And then once that's all done, we can pin it on and test fit everything, and there we go. This is what they're looking like so far. The final install. First, I pinned the fur down. I'm gonna unpin where the toes are. Now that I've peeled the toes back, I'm gonna glue in between each toe. Make sure you really press into the cracks. Now I need to figure out how to glue in here. I think I'm gonna shove the hot glue gun in there and see how that works. Now I'm gonna glue the extra fur on top of the sole. It's a little bulky, so I'm gonna shave the fur down. Nice and secure. I'm gonna unpin the top and then roll it down. And now I can struggle to glue the rest of it. Please be careful not to burn yourself. Now that the fur is all on, I'm going to ladder stitch the lining onto the outside fabric. One eternity later and I have them both done, and it's finally time for the outside soles. Just like when we did the shoes, we're gonna paint both sides with contact cement and let that completely dry, and then stick them together really good. And now they're done. Thanks for following along. I learned a lot and I hope you did too.